With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority is using Google AI to create smarter tolling systems and improve traffic flow for Texans. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
My therapist actually thinks my enemies list is great, but what he did tell me was, I'm concerned about the degree to which you enjoy getting revenge on people. He's like, I'm not sure if that's the healthiest thing. I like my therapist, but I do think that there's a certain level of joy and glee you should have in defeating terrible people in the world with small acts of outrage and ridiculousness and silliness.
Welcome to How To. I'm Courtney Martin. We're living in a moment in history that feels exhausting, frightening, frustrating, and if you're like me, you get angry at injustices, big and small. It's hard to know what to do with these emotions and whether it's possible to kind of make things right on some level. I'm not just talking politically, I'm talking interpersonally. Little stuff that just drives you crazy. Where's the accountability? Where's the catharsis? Here at How To, we've been talking about the idea of an antihero. Not just the Taylor Swift song, but about the iconic trope. Someone who isn't exactly the good guy, but also not exactly the villain. An antihero is someone who might behave badly, but ultimately does the right thing. For our next few episodes, we're going to explore what it takes to be an antihero. My co-host, Carvel Wallace, will sit down with Slate columnist Sachi Cole to talk about the virtue of being a hater. But not just any hater, an ethical hater. Another episode will be all about gossip, how to do it, why you should do it, and why the right kind of gossip might actually be a good thing. To kick it off today, I'm going to talk about revenge with someone who happens to be an expert on the topic. Possibly because he spends a lot of time with fifth graders.
My name is Matthew Dix. I am by day an elementary school teacher. I'm also a writer of novels and books of nonfiction. I tell stories and do stand-up comedy on stages. I consult with companies and universities and the FBI on storytelling and communication. And I run a company called Storyworthy that teaches people how to tell stories.
So you have so many side hustles. I don't know if you consider them side hustles.
Yeah, I never do. I sort of hate that word because I honor each one of the jobs I do with the same, seriousness and focus as the others.
Okay. So you have so many central hustles. Do you consider revenge one of your central hustles?
It's certainly a personal pursuit of mine. I do enjoy, sadly, getting revenge. That sounds terrible, but it's really not as bad as it sounds.
What's not to like? Pranks, jump scares, a flair for the long game? Matt even maintains an enemies list and an I told you so calendar. He recently wrote about revenge as part of Slate's Revenge Week, which you can check out at slate.com. But we've asked him to help a listener who is, how should I put this, having some trouble at the dog park in her neighborhood. First, though, let's find out why getting even is such a big part of Matt's life.
A lot of my revenge comes from my hatred for the way people move through the world with impunity. I just think that there's a lot of people who know that they can say and do things because other people are unwilling to engage in conflict and are unwilling to hold them to account. And so I think a lot of people get away with a lot of stuff, and it angers me more than almost anything. So a lot of the revenge that I seek in the world is essentially making sure that those people are taught the lesson that sometimes, on occasion, someone's going to be standing in front of you and they're going to let you know that you've done wrong and they might make you pay for it.
I love that. So I've always thought of revenge as like kind of an unevolved thing to crave. The way you're talking about it is like accountability. Like you're out here in these streets making sure people are accountable.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, a lot of my revenge comes from when people wrong me. But, I also often find myself in situations where I am involved in something that perhaps I should not be involved in because I recognize that the people who are being aggrieved are not in a position or not willing to sort of stand up. And so I choose to take that role on.
So were you born this way? Were you like a little kid in the kindergarten, like avenging other children's hurts and harms?
I don't think it started with kids. It started with adults. I've always been averse to authority. It was teachers and scout leaders who I just felt like weren't being fair. And so I would attempt to do whatever I could to get back at them. And a lot of times what I point out to people is revenge is such a long game. They have to trust the universe will sort of take care of it for you. So I had a teacher in science class in 6th grade named Mr. Morin, and he was terrible. He used to make you raise your dominant hand. I don't know why. Now I'm left-handed, so I would get scolded for raising my right hand because I'm left-handed.
What an idiot.
Like, he was bad in every way. He had like one of the Hitler mustaches.
He actually had the Hitler mustache.
He had the Hitler mustache.
With the assholeness?
Yeah, so it just tells you who he was.
Yeah.
But what I did was I took the dictionaries from the back of the room, one at a time over the course of 3 months. And I found the word moron in the dictionary because we used to call him Mr. Moron. And I created this perfect little piece of paper that I could tape over moron.
Wow.
And I changed the definition to the teacher standing in front of you right now. And I remember one day one of my friends was like, why are you doing this? Nobody even touches those dictionaries. I don't know if anyone's ever going to see it. And I said, you have to have faith that when you're doing something like this, eventually it will cause someone to laugh. He will see it and he will know how I feel about him.
Wow.
So that's sort of like where it began for me, was with teachers and other adult figures, my stepfather, who were just, I thought, terrible people and needed to be put in their place.
So you said faith. You have to have faith sometimes as you're taking revenge. You have to have patience because you said it can be a long game. Any other essential ingredients to being an expert at revenge?
Well, I think you have to sort of be aware of opportunities. So you have to keep sort of the list in mind, or I keep a list on my phone, and then just take advantage of the chances when you have them.
And is the list people's names, or it's people's names and ideas for various ways to get revenge on them?
It's a list of names or organizations. There's 7 people on the list right now. Twice I have gotten revenge and had people removed off the list. And one point I reached a level of forgiveness that I didn't need to get revenge anymore.
Wow. Will you tell us that story?
Yeah, there was a teacher who I worked with years ago, and we originally began as friends and then began clashing. And he wasn't nice to my wife, and he wasn't nice to me. And frankly, he wasn't the nicest human being to kids. He was fine, but he wasn't great. And we didn't get along, and he tried to sort of take credit for things that other people had done, and people were afraid to call him out on it. And so I had sort of done a few things to sort of needle him, let's say 50% of the revenge that I desired. And then he got a new job, actually moved to the West Coast. He stayed on my list because I was still annoyed with him. But then he came back to the school about 5 years later, came into my classroom, sat down and said, listen, I know I was pretty lousy to you when I was here, and I just want to let you know I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I'm sorry.
Wow.
And I said, all right, you're off the list. Congratulations. I didn't say it that, I didn't tell him he was on the list, but I removed him from the list.
So a genuine self-searching apology can trump revenge for you, like you
Sometimes,
will.
I would say.
Sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes. Depends on how aggrieved I am.
Will you tell us like a couple of your favorite acts of revenge you've ever done?
Some of them that I do, I like how they get stretched out over time a little bit.
Yeah.
So someone on my list is a former boss of my wife who treated her really badly.
Ooh, I like this one.
And he sort of knows that I am more than willing to engage in public acts of outrage and shame. I'll say whatever I want to say.
Yeah.
And so he tries to avoid me because we're sort of still within the same organization, we'll say. And so we were at a party recently, and I saw him there. And he saw me, and he moved to the other side of the room, to the other room, seeing me. And so I just moved with him. I moved to the room he was in, and then he moved to another room. And then I moved with him. And I basically chased him for like an hour and a half that night. Every time I moved near him, he moved away from me. And it just made me so happy. He's still on my list because it doesn't qualify as enough revenge to sort of, take care of him in a way that he needs to be taken care of. But sometimes it's just the idea that you can make a person's life slightly difficult for a long period of time. And that sometimes is even better than that singular act of revenge that, you hope to, enact upon someone. So that was pretty great. I really enjoyed that bit of revenge.
I'm trying to think of even how to ask this question, but I'm thinking like, you want to make his life difficult, but how do you know? Like, it seemed like when you were describing your motivation for revenge, partly it was around accountability, like being someone who will call out the things other people won't call out. So then I'm wondering, like, with that guy, do you care what he's experiencing internally? Like, is your revenge still juicy if he's just thinking Matt's unhinged instead of thinking, like, I did something wrong and I'm afraid and I, like, feel guilty?
I don't think I can sort of gauge what's going on inside him.
Yeah.
So all I have is sort of the external evidence. And so the fact he was moving from room to room and leaving groups of people who he was in mid-conversation with in an effort to get away from me because he was afraid I might say something because I had said things in the past that made him uncomfortable. So I was capable of doing it again. I think that made me happy enough. Now, ideally, what I'd love for him to think is Matt is unhinged. He might make a scene. I can't be around him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But if it was just like, I really don't want to be around that guy, and so I'm going to avoid him at all costs, that's also pretty good because it essentially means that my physicality is dictating his physicality, and that doesn't happen very often in the world. So to be able to do that was pretty great.
Yeah. How does your wife feel about this long game of revenge on this guy?
I think she would say she's probably not a fan of it. She just worries sometimes that I'm going to become involved in situations that are going to create more problems than they're worth. We have a policy now that I can't involve myself in sort of situations outside my life unless someone brings me into it first. So if I see someone being mistreated in the world by another person, I used to engage all the time, just really jump right into the fray. But, she pointed out that people carry guns and knives and cameras. It's just not a good idea. And with 2 kids and a wife, she's right. But if they pull me into it, I have freedom to then engage. So admittedly, I will sometimes stand a little closer to a situation than necessary, hoping someone might engage me. But I'm often disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah. People just don't. You need to get like a uniform, some kind of superhero revenge uniform, because then they'll just be like, whoa, apparently this guy's ready for action.
Or just a sign that says, like, ask me a question.
Okay. So how about advice for revenge takers in training? Like, where can they start? Because I have an 8-year-old who is already deep on pranks, and I think she has some real potential.
So a person played a prank on me recently, and she's on my list now. She's not sort of like an angry revenge person. She's I can't believe you did that to me. I will have to get you back. And the crazy thing was, this is a woman I teach with. And I've teased her for years that she has a son who doesn't exist because she talks too much about her daughter. So I invented this fictional son, and then I stole her holiday cards and had a son photoshopped into them. And I've been aging him every year and changing the story. God. And so she did something that was very impressive. You can buy these devices very cheaply on the internet that essentially emit a chirp very randomly and very occasionally, and they're very small. So she put one in the clock in my classroom, behind the clock. And it sounded just like a smoke detector when it's running out of batteries.
Oh, God.
So I ended up emailing the custodian and saying, I think one of the smoke detectors in the hallway is running out of batteries. He emailed back and said, nope, they're all hardwired. They don't run out of batteries. And then I said, well, something's chirping. There must be some alarm. And so they called maintenance down and they couldn't find anything. And I had another teacher in my classroom last year. She would hear it. Some of my kids would hear it. And eventually I just gave up and I decided I'm going to have to live with this chirp. I don't know what it is. And then one day, one of my colleagues came in the room, heard the chirp, and she said, I bet someone's pranking you. I bet it's so-and-so. And they were right. And then they managed to track the sound down. They pulled it out and they said, here it is. It's behind your clock. And I couldn't believe it. It'd been like 2 months that we had put up with that.
Taste your own medicine.
Right. And so she thought we were even. She was like, no, we're even because you've teased me about my son and now we're even. And even my principal said to her, he said, you don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like Matt, it's never even with Matt unless he was the last one to do something. He told her like, you're dead because he's totally going to like ruin everything now because of what you've done. And he's right.
Well, you've got stamina, you've got art that you're bringing to the table. Like you're not a one-hit wonder around your revenge.
I found out that it's not that expensive to have a digital billboard assigned to I-84 in the middle of Hartford for about a week. It's surprisingly inexpensive that you can just put whatever you want on a digital billboard.
Note to all the Hartford revenge takers out there.
I don't think I'm going to do that because I feel like that might cause my job to be, in peril. But I've got a plan, and my students were annoyed too. And so they were sort of like participating in small acts of revenge through the year. Essentially, what you want to first do is frighten someone and make them think something's coming at any moment. That's a great way to at least put them on edge and you're already winning. So my students helped me do that this year.
Yeah.
And then I didn't actually get revenge on her yet, but I've promised my students that the moment I decide on what it's going to be and it happens, I'm going to email them all in middle school and let them know it's been taken care of.
I love this. This reinforces what I'm trying to say about my daughter having some real revenge potential. We moved in with my elderly mother who's like half deaf. And my daughter constantly was surprising her, like scaring the absolute shit out of her. So my mom decided the best thing was to say, you can only scare me once a month. But now that means Stella's just stalking around, like freaking my mom out the whole time. Like the wait is what really freaks people out.
I know how your mother can get her revenge.
Oh, good. What should she do?
I did this once to my kids. They were scaring me too. So assuming that your mother can figure out when Stella's about to scare her, your mother should get completely naked so that the moment Stella jumps out and scares your mother, she's completely naked.
I love this.
Yes, that is the way you get the person
back. And it'll
back.
Traumatize her for life.
And she'll never do it again. I did it to my children. Now, they were like 3 and 5, which is kind of too young to even be traumatized at that point. Like you kind of...
3 and 5 naked's great. They're like,
right.
Yeah, let's do it.
So how old's Stella? Oh,
8.
8? It's good.
Tell
your mother to get completely naked.
Okay. I'm going to go home and tell my mom that.
The instinct you have to have is whenever you can, you reverse the situation. So if someone's scaring you, what you have to do is scare them back so that they get the taste of their own medicine.
That's perfect. Reversing the situation doesn't always involve nudity. Coming up, one of our listeners is waging a battle over the very soul of a Brooklyn dog park. Matt Dix will tell her how to get even. Stick around.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
If you're running a business right now, you already know it's hard. Tight budgets, hiring freezes, and economic uncertainty is just the beginning. Good news, Upwork is helping small businesses do more with less. Upwork is the hiring platform designed for the modern playbook, where you find, hire, and pay expert freelancers who can deliver results from day one. It's perfect for businesses on tight budgets, fast timelines, and zero room for error. Never tried Upwork? Well, now is the perfect time because they're giving How To listeners a $200 credit after spending $1,000 in the first 30 days. That's $200 you can put toward your next freelancer, whether it's design help, AI automation, admin support, marketing, or whatever your business needs. Visit upwork.com/save right now for this great offer. That is upwork.com/save to get a $200 credit to put towards your next freelancer to help grow your business. That's upwork.com/SAVE. Upwork.com/save. Don't wait. This offer is only valid June 24th through August 5th, 2025.
Why does the United States pay higher drug prices than other countries? Because America's the only country in the world where 340B hospitals mark up drug prices and PBM middlemen charge billions in hidden fees. Meanwhile, Americans subsidize the research and development for new cures. Other countries benefit, but don't pay their fair share. Crack down on the middlemen. End the free riding. Lower drug prices. Go to balancethescales.org to learn more. Paid for by Pharma.
This is How To. I'm Courtney Martin. We've been talking with the writer, comedian, and expert revenge seeker Matthew Dix. Now let's bring in a how-to listener who wants to get even but isn't sure where to begin. Jordan lives in Brooklyn with her dog, Ziggy. Her neighborhood doesn't have much in the way of a dog park, so locals bring their pups to a grassy waterfront area called Transmitter Park.
Technically, you're not allowed to have your dog off-leash in this park. And we tried to petition to get off-leash hours, but that has not worked. And so basically, people just let their dogs off-leash, and no one seems to care, and the dogs have a great time, and the people have a great time, and they coexist, except for these Karens who have taken matters into their own hands. So what they have started doing is if they see you off-leash with your dog in the park, they'll start screaming at you immediately. And they'll come up to you and put their phone directly in your face and take pictures and videos of you and say that they're sending it to 311. And then things got even crazier because they started printing out their own homemade signs and zip tying those to different places in the park saying, like, you can't have your dog on leash. They even included a fake, like, Parks logo, which was proven to be, like, a forgery immediately.
Meanwhile, the Parks Department, the real one with the actual logo, is more concerned about maintaining the grass in Transmitter Park. It gets pretty run down by soccer games and picnickers, that kind of thing, not to mention all those dog paws. So, periodically, the Parks Department puts up a temporary fence around the park to reseed the lawn and give the grass a breather.
A lot of people, not just the dog people, cut a hole in this fence and still hang out in the park. One time, I was with many other people standing inside Transmitter Park, and I'd walked in through this hole. And all of a sudden, I noticed that this woman is glaring at me, so I ignore her. And then she takes these zip ties out of her pocket, which is like, who is walking around with zip ties? And she starts to close the hole in the fence with 15 zip ties. So she zip tied me fully into the park. So I'm like trapped in the park with my dog. So I immediately called my friend who lives nearby, and he came over with a scissor and just in front of her face, like, cut the zip ties. And I just, like, laughed and walked out of the park.
As it turns out, the war had only just begun.
In the last 2 weeks, these people post anonymously on Reddit. They have started an anonymous Instagram account that posts these pictures of people off-leash with their dogs in the park. They have ordered these massive signs from Amazon that basically say, like, if you see dogs off leash, report them to 311. No dogs off leash allowed in the park. And they've, like, staked them all over in the park, like everywhere. So that people, not even dog people, are, like, ripping them out, usually at night, because they're just literally in the middle of the park. And then they're put back in the morning, and then they get ripped out again. And it is this, like, hilarious and wild ongoing situation. So that was a lot, but that is the whole story of what is going on. So now you're fully up to date and would love your advice.
First of all, are you a dog person, Matt?
I had a dog for 18 years, and when she passed away, I decided I couldn't have a dog anymore because it hurt too much. So now I'm a cat person because cats are like roommates. They don't depend on me for emotional well-being. They're kind of like, I love them, but they have their own lives too. So when they die, it's terrible. But at least it's not like losing a child. It's like losing a roommate.
So you're such a dog person that you're not a dog person. Like you feel so deeply for dogs that you
Yeah.
can't even have them. Okay, so
Yes.
Jordan, that's who we're dealing with, is someone who gets this on a level that he can't even have a dog.
Yeah. I do like rule breaking too when it's justified. And this,
Completely. Rules for no reason. I am so anti.
yeah.
Also, obviously, 311 is not doing shit about this.
They don't care.
That's the point, is no one cares except for this lady.
They truly don't care at all, and they're constantly calling the park police, and the park police, like, every once in a while have to come, and they sort of just stand there, and they're like, put your dog on a leash, and then they just, like, walk away.
They're like, children and parents are getting separated by ice right now. We don't really give a shit if someone has a dog off leash.
Oh, and I forgot, they also start rumors about specific dogs, including my dog. They said that my dog attacked a child, which is just, like, literally insane, and that's, like, libel or slander, or I don't know which one, but absolutely crazy. And I tried to be as calm as possible and actually, like, got the message across to be like, what if I was going around saying that your child had attacked someone? And they were like, okay, that's a good point. I guess I shouldn't be spreading false rumors about your dog.
They admitted it? Oh, Matt, we got to take revenge on behalf of Ziggy. This is like you taking revenge on behalf of your wife.
Right.
Okay, Matt, what do we do?
All right. Well, I got a lot of ideas. First of all, my compliments, because I feel like you're already getting a decent amount of revenge. Just knowing that they're investing time and money to stop you from doing something and it's not working. So that's fantastic right off the bat.
Gold star.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow, huge.
I try to think of things that I can do that are sort of like working around the rules. What I would do is I would get the longest possible leashes you could ever imagine, like a 60-foot leash, and bring that to the park so that the dog is essentially off leash but on leash. And I would probably have like 4 friends do it. It's going to be a little annoying because I think it'll get a little tangled, but it doesn't matter because it will be worth it. You don't do it for like 45 minutes, but you do it for 10 minutes, like twice a week. So that's the idea of like, let's stick to the letter of the law, but only in the most marginal way possible. So I would do that first. I would absolutely be ordering signs and putting up my own signs. And the way I would put up signs is I would write them in such a vague way that people wouldn't know if they were talking about them or not. So I would create a sign that says something like, the woman with the ugly shoes is the worst person ever. And then like, it's great because they won't know which one they're talking about. They'll also think their shoes are ugly at the same time. And if you can just be really specific, like the woman with the ugly shoes has an awful husband.
Wow.
Right? And just put that up there. You're not targeting anyone specifically. And if someone accuses you of it, you just say, oh, do you have ugly shoes and a terrible husband? I'm so sorry to hear that. That's a real shame. So I would putting up signs and I would put them up right next to their sign. So rather than tearing their signs down, maybe even zip tie the 2 signs together, right? So you zip tie your sign next to their sign.
Wow. So good. Because the only suggestion people had was like to cross out dogs and write like kids. Obviously I'm pro kid,
Right.
but just saying like keep your kids on a leash or something like that. But this is a way better suggestion.
So much better.
So,
So much better.
This is way better.
It's great for Instagram too. Like you'll get a lot more attention on Instagram for a sign like that than their stupid signs, right? You'll probably go viral. I would also be thinking about if I went to the park, I'd have like candy in my pocket. So if the park police do come and they tell you to leave, I would just be like, absolutely, we'll leave. And by the way, here's some candy. I would just try to be like so overtly kind to the park police. Their goal is to have the park police come in like the Gestapo and frighten you. And what you want to do is the opposite, which is, oh, thank God you're here. I have a gift for you, right? And I was leaving anyway, right? So you want them to see a happy encounter, like a really super friendly. You want to be like, I was leaving anyway, officer. And by the way, because we respect what you do, you know, you could even be like I carry a Baskin-Robbins gift card for $5 whenever I see a officer of the law doing something amazing. And you're doing a great job, officer, so have an ice cream on me. Just you want to create a positive encounter because what they want is a negative encounter. So you have to create the opposite of what they're looking for so that they're frustrated that they're not like getting that awful vitriol that they're hoping to see.
Wow.
I had one more. If they're taking pictures of you to post, right? Again, they want to frighten you. The goal is I want to take a picture to intimidate you and frighten you. So if you're with your friend, right? If you're with a friend and you're there and they start taking pictures, I would have my friend start taking photos of you, but you should be posing at that point.
Wow.
So that while they're taking pictures of you and trying to get the scared look, you're just like trying to look as hot as you possibly can and have your friends simultaneously be taking pictures of you while they're trying to frighten you. Because what you want to show them is, I love it when people take pictures of me. In fact, my friend does it all the time. And now I have 2 people taking pictures of me.
Wow.
These are such incredible, tangible solutions. Like I literally have written them all down. I'm taking notes here. I'm going to put these into action immediately. I think this might solve the case.
Is there any solving the case? Like, what do you think, guys?
Well, I think ultimately the people will continue to be annoying. But now when they go home at night, they won't be thinking, ooh, we got them this time, right? Because they're going to go back and have like weird signs that might vaguely reference them zip tied to the signs that they put up. Right? And the park police are going to like fall in love with you because you're always going to be nice and you're going to almost be excited when they arrive. You should get their first names. So like when the park police comes, you're like, Danny, how's it going?
So good to see you.
And the 60-foot leash is just going to be beautiful. It's going to be a little hard to find a 60-foot leash. You're probably going to have to get like a 60-foot length of rope or something like that.
Or like tie 2 together or something like that. We can get crafty.
Yeah. Well, I desperately want to find out what happens. So you'll have to let me know.
Oh, my God. Thank you so much. This has been insanely helpful.
The frightening thing is I actually have this great feeling of warmth in my belly right now, knowing that like it's going to happen and terrible people will be let known that their impunity will not stay. I actually feel so happy right now. Good luck. I hope it works out.
Good luck, Jordan. We believe in you.
Thank you.
We will be sure to follow up with Jordan about the showdown in the dog park. Don't you worry. And if you want to see a picture of Jordan's dog Ziggy, you can see all 100 pounds of him on our show page. Still to come, Matt Dix explains how to get started in the revenge game with an I told you so calendar. More in a moment.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
I think one of the things I'm really taking away from this conversation is that the goal is joy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like your joy as the person who has been wronged and like interrupting the cycle of like nitpicky meanness with just like weird, awesome joy that throws people off.
Yes. My therapist actually thinks my enemies list is great. He says it's a wonderful offloading of psychic energy. But I'm concerned about the degree to which you enjoy getting revenge on people. He's like, I'm not sure if that's the healthiest thing, but the fact that you don't perseverate on it is a really great thing. But I think my therapist is wrong because a lot of therapists don't know what they're talking about. They have therapists themselves.
Oh man, we should do a second episode on taking revenge on your therapist.
I like my therapist. But I do think that there's a certain level of joy and glee you should have in defeating terrible people in the world with small acts of outrage and ridiculousness and silliness.
Have you heard about glitter revenge via USPS?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think it's pretty great. I mean, I think it was started by Mark Rober, the former NASA scientist who has a YouTube channel. So he created glitter bombs for porch pirates. that had cameras and everything, which was great because in that case, you got to watch the glitter bomb explode in the car. And he had a Bluetooth camera record the event so that it could be on video as well. So to be able to see the revenge is great. Like those dictionaries, if they still exist, I don't actually get to witness the moment that Mr. Moron sees the definitional change. I just have to have the faith that it might happen. But if you can actually get some video evidence of it, like Mark Rober did, that was brilliant.
So on ramp for a brand new revenge taker who's like, this is not my style. I am nervous. How do they get the courage to make it happen?
Well, I have something called an I told you so calendar. So if you have a Google calendar, you can have multiple calendars. Like my wife has one, I have one, they all merge. A small way to get revenge if you want to get started is the I told you so calendar. And that's the idea that people say stuff to you thinking they'll never be held accountable for it. And oftentimes that is the case. So my friend says, the Red Sox are going to finish ahead of the Yankees at the end of the baseball season. They say it with impunity. They don't expect anyone to ever come back and say, you were wrong, I was right. My I told you so calendar functions in a way that allows accountability to take place. So if my friend says, the Red Sox are going to finish ahead of the Yankees by the end of the baseball season, I determine when the last day of the baseball season is. And on that calendar, I write, Andrew said the Red Sox finish ahead of the Yankees. And if they don't, I call Andrew and I say, Andrew, on April 14th, you said this, and I'm just letting you know, I told you so, you were wrong. And I do that a lot. I have some that are as far as 10 years out. Like a long, long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, my father-in-law told me football would no longer exist by the year 2035 because of concussions. So hopefully my father-in-law is still alive in 2035, because in 2035 on my Google Calendar, it says, Jerry Green told me on this date that football would no longer exist. Jerry, I told you so. So that's a nice way to get a little bit of revenge without a lot of effort. And it does make you feel good. And I'm honest as well. I had a friend once tell me, actually Andrew, same guy, he told me, I told him, as I'm doing his kids' laundry one day, he has kids older than mine. And I said, listen, Andrew, by the time my kids are 12, they're going to be doing their own laundry. And he said, nope, they will not be doing their own laundry, Matt. I put it on the calendar. When Clara turns 12, I will call Andrew and say, I told you so. When Clara turned 12, I was still doing her laundry. So I called Andrew and I said, 8 years ago, you told me I'd be doing Clara's laundry when she turned 12. And I have to say, you were right on that one, and I was wrong. And I remember he said, why are you calling me about this? And I said, because I have an I told you so calendar, and my goal was to say, I told you so today, but unfortunately, you told me so. Wow. And he said, I really don't need you to ever do this again.
Matt, it's like you're this guru of accountability and joy. You're just like holding us all accountable.
Yeah, I just don't want people to think they can get away with stuff.
Even yourself.
Because I think everyone thinks they can. But like you said, if you're new to revenge, that feels pretty easy, right? Just like, when your mother says, you're going to be late next Tuesday, I know you are. You're always late. When you're not late next Tuesday, you're like, hey, Ma, 6.5 days ago, you said I was going to be late, and I told you I wasn't. I told you so.
That's amazing.
They're my 4 favorite words in the English language. I told you so. It's so good.
I need to use this on my husband, honestly.
Yeah. Well, start an I told you so calendar today. Just a different Google Calendar. Hit the little plus button. I told you so.
Make sure it's not shared with him, because we have some shared calendars.
No, because part of the beauty of revenge is surprise. When the person walks into the dog park and they see their sign zip tied to a sign that talks about like the lady with the ugly shoes has an impotent husband, right? The surprise of seeing the sign is the best part of that whole sign.
Matt, I could not have appreciated this more or learned more. And now I'm just getting my revenge list started. I'm getting my told you so calendar going, and I will keep you posted.
I am so excited, and I have rarely felt so happy at the end of a podcast interview. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed every moment of this.
Thank you to Matthew Dix for this classroom lesson on revenge. He's an excellent teacher. Although it does make me wonder, what's it like to be a student in his actual 5th grade classroom? Kids, call in and tell us, would you? We've posted a link to his website in our show notes so you can find out more about his work as a storytelling coach, writer, and so much more. Also, you can read Matt's essay about revenge and Slate's entire series about the subject at slate.com. We'll link to that too. By the way, my conversation with Matt continues in a quick fix bonus episode that's exclusive to Slate Plus members. Matt will explain why revenge comes naturally to people from the greater Boston area, and you'll hear how he got revenge on none other than Donald Trump. And we'll get his take on the let them theory popularized by podcaster Mel Robbins. If you aren't already a Slate Plus member, you can subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of the How To Show page, or visit slate.com/HowToPlus to get access wherever you listen. Do you have a problem that needs solving? Maybe a clock that won't stop chirping? Send us a note at howto@slate.com or leave us a voicemail at 646-495-4001, and we might have you on the show. How To is produced by Rosie Belson with Kevin Bendis. Special thanks to Sophie Summergrad, who produced this episode. Like Matt Dix, she is from Massachusetts, so you don't want to get on her enemies list. Joel Meyer is our supervising producer, and Merritt Jacob is senior technical director and composed our theme music. Charles Duhigg created the show. Carvel Wallace is my co-host. I'm Courtney Martin. Thanks for listening.